All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's do an audio and a visual check. How's everybody doing? Good evening, Astro Nerd, Nilo, Corey, Richard, Ellie. Good evening, everybody. I'm pretty sure I sound okay. You can see and hear me just fine. Good evening. Awesome. I absolutely love it when the audio sounds good. Hola. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Give me a moment while I get some things set up. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll kind of just jump into it. Let's go here. All right. Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. Tonight's going to be a good one. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. And as always, here is the link to our Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. We're going to be analyzing the live markets. As you can see behind me, we have the live markets, and it's for educational purposes only. But let's start onto it. This evening's going to be hopefully a good one, right? If we pull up the news, you can see behind me, I do have the Nikkei, the Japanese market, and as we're talking about that, we have the Bank of Japan policy rate, the monetary policy statement, the Bank of Japan outlook, and the Bank of Japan press conference. So a lot of things going on in Japan, and I'm actually in a trade in the Japanese market. Let's talk through this trade, and we'll go through the NASDAQ. Today was earnings. We had earnings after the bell, and it was something else, guys. Google reported their earnings, and it was a huge beat. Like, it was a huge beat. They released what I don't know the exact numbers. I just know it was a huge beat, and they have a dividend announcement, buybacks, and so very, very, very positive for Google, which means, it probably positive for tech overall, and we've seen the market rally after the close. But given that, you can see I am in a Nikkei long. I'm going to talk through this trade, and then we'll jump over to the NASDAQ, and we'll be answering questions along the way. We have a team that if I don't get to your question, and they will feed me them on a chat that I have here. So be patient. If I don't answer it, go ahead and copy, paste it into the chat. And I might be managing this trade that I'm in. Yeah, I have a lot going on. So I have multiple monitors. I might be distracted, and we'll see how it goes. And like I said, I'm a trader first, and I'm in a trade. And since I'm in a trade, I might be managing it. So there might be like a moment of silence of me watching and focusing. But you guys get to see me do it and manage it in real time. So that being said, you can see here's the chart for the Nikkei. This is a 5-minute chart, and if we zoom out, say maybe the 100 tick, this is what I was looking at. We had this huge rally during the New York session, and sure enough, we did get a bit of a sell-off. And once we got that sell-off, we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce, and a very, like you guys know me, keeping it as simple as possible. Keep it super simple. We had some support here from yesterday, kind of a V-shaped recovery, rallied. We broke through this resistance right here, broke through that resistance, obviously, again here. We had the pullback. The pullback was down here towards, the 650, 6 whatever. And when we start to zoom in to a 5-minute chart. So here we go. Let's zoom into a 5-minute chart. You can kind of see it a little bit better, and it makes it a little more granularized, right? You can see the support level from yesterday and the resistance, the high from the Asian session last night. Well, we broke it. We held it once. We did try to break down tonight at the open. We tried to break down tonight. We bought it right back up, hesitated a little bit. I went ahead and got in, and I'm looking at this as a decent risk-reward trade. Maybe get a 2-to-1. First target I'm looking at is maybe 765. The second one up in this area. So that's what I'm looking at. Will this work out? I would say less than 50%. These trades tend to not always work out in my favor because I'm kind of going against the trend. I'm going against which way the market's currently going, and the market is currently going down, which means I do not get as high of probability that I want. However, I do get a bit better of a risk reward. 2 to 1. Sometimes I could let a runner go, and maybe we do break up and get to 38,000, and I get a nice 4 to 1 risk reward. And however, on the flip side, the probabilities of these trades that for this example is less than 50%, meaning I will lose this trade more than 50% of the time. And that being said, guys, everybody's seen who was watching. It was last Friday. Last week, I took some big losses, right? I was, hitting my losses. It was a very ugly drawdown week for me last week. And sure enough, Mick, the risk manager, he roasted me pretty hard on Friday. And so I messaged him today. I'm like, hey, I've been having a really amazing week this week. Prepare to be roasted tomorrow. So if you guys tune in to Topstep TV during fast markets, I'm probably will do a little fun roast, kind of a jab back at Mick. And then after I messaged Mick that, I kind of like took a step back. I'm like, oh no, what did I get myself into? I'm actually trading, and it's going to be my luck. I'm going to take losses tonight and tomorrow, and then I'm going to try and then what's going to happen, and just my luck is I'm going to talk some crap, and I said that to Mick, and I was thinking about that. As soon as I placed this trade, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take losses tonight, and then everything that I said is just going to go down the drain. And it's like if I talk a big game and then I just take a nosedive on a Friday after losing, and then like, crap, now I'm thinking about it. Now I'm going to jinx myself, and then you kind of just speak it into existence. I'm like, oh, well, you know what? It is what it is, right? I made 10,000 Monday, 10,000 Tuesday, like 2,000 Wednesday, and 2,000 Thursday. And then if I take a loss today, so be it. That's just the way trading goes. You can always have winning day after one and always have winning days. If today is a loss, that's what it has to be. It's just unlucky after I decide to try and throw some jabs back at Mick. But anyway, let's get some of these questions. I'm going to continue to monitor this trade because this is a trade on my live account, and it's something I'm going to be focusing on. We do have that news coming out in Japan, the Bank of Japan, and I'm going to continue to watch that. Dakota, what do you think about Max's trade? I'm guessing Max during Power Hour today to buy 5075 on Power Hour is probably the best treat I've seen. Unfortunately, I didn't watch very much of the Power Hour. I was out and about. I was on my phone listening to some of it, and then I heard Andre say, we need a trade in the house account, and I briefly looked at it on my phone, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not in front of my charts, but if I was to choose a direction, I would say long. Sure enough, it worked out. The long worked out. So I didn't see all of it, and anyway, yeah. And let's see if I can manage this trade pretty good. If we get a bounce, maybe I get a take profit at 750. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little tight. Maybe I manage my risk a little bit better since I did talk a little bit of crap behind the scenes, and I'm going to prepare to do some more fun roasting. And you know what? It takes a little bit of risk on my standpoint to roast the risk manager, and I don't know exactly. I put myself in a position, and the team knows am I really going to be the one to roast a risk manager who has access to my account? We'll see about that. What is my monitor setup? I'll have to post a picture on that as well. Can somebody please just tell me if this is real now? That's all I want to know. Trey K, I'm not sure what you mean, but we are live. I do my slow markets class live Monday through Thursday, and I am trading in a live account. So if that's real, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Thanks, Jay. Jay's in the and by that, hey, Jay Cook, I know you're in the chat and you're listening. Do you want to join me next week? Do you want to be a guest on Slow Markets next week? I think I'm going to be able to figure out the audio, and you'll be there with me if we could do that maybe next Wednesday. Perception. Yeah, we'll give it a minute because there's always a delay in the YouTube. Perception is reality. Okay, we're not. Yes. Okay, there we go. Coach Jay and I'm going to plan on Wednesday, and I'm going to see if I could get out of this trade, actually. We're watching this. This is a live trade in front of everybody, live in my account, and let's see how this one goes. I might try and just get out of some of it here. Next Wednesday, you're in. Hexera, caught in a landslide. Fantasy Rips. Nikkei at VWAP. I don't have the VWAP up. I'm not a VWAP trader, but how many? And let's do a poll. Let me see. Actually, let's not do a poll. Let's just ask a chat. Give me a second. I'm gonna do a poll. I'm curious to get this. We have a lot of traders here, and I've been talking about the Nikkei a lot, and I am very, very curious to see the answer to this question. Let me get a poll. Let's see how good my skills are with technology on doing polls. Do you trade the NKD? Because tonight's all about Nikkei. We have a lot of news, and I want to focus a little bit on the Nikkei. So, did that poll work? Let's see here. No. Let's see. Nope. Let me change that. Okay, that poll didn't work. That's a Q&A. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's do it again. There we go. Do you trade the Nikkei? This one will work. This one will work. Here we go. Bam. Let's see it. Let's see how many traders in here trade the Nikkei. Hopefully not a lot. It's something I've been talking about. It's been a great point of interest. And, you know, we have a lot of Bank of Japan, and it's another way to trade. And I get this question a lot, guys. Everyone asks, is the Nikkei my favorite market? And I have to be honest. No, the Nikkei is not my favorite market. It is not my number one market. The NASDAQ is. Never knew about it till today. Good. Well, that's okay. If you don't, I would not recommend it yet. I would honestly recommend ES. And on that note, let's go ahead and jump over to the NASDAQ. No. Okay, more than you guys are saying no. I like it. To be honest, that's how I think it should be. We don't need to be trading the Nikkei. It's a little bit more difficult to trade. So let's talk about NASDAQ. And here is the NASDAQ on the daily chart. Well, that was huge, right? We had a lot of volatility today. We were down like almost, 1.5%, 2%. We rallied all the way back up, and now we're right back to the highs of this ugly candle. Now, if you guys remember, this was that ugly candle from yesterday that I said we could see a push lower. Well, we got that. We rebounded off nicely, and then sure enough, the earnings came out and pushed it straight up. And at one point, we were at 17,800, and we've had some crazy earnings. And tomorrow, it's going to continue. We have some more news, and really big news coming out tomorrow with the inflation data, the core PCE that we are going to be paying attention to. I will be on fast markets, so we will see how that goes. You know, if I don't just blow up tonight. I'll be trading fast markets in my live account. So yeah, it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be Coach Jay and I believe Andre, where we could see if we can get a couple house account trades. So, and hopefully I'll be awake. I'll get me an energy drink so that way I'm wide awake for in the morning. But I don't really have a bias on the NASDAQ. And yes, I am a perma bull. We all know that. Everybody knows that. And in terms of where we're going to be going, essentially we kind of had an outside candle kind of day. Like this was the day. We broke yesterday's lows. We went all the way down to 300. We went all the way up to 800. We had like a 500-point range here on the NASDAQ. And then at the close, we jumped up another 300 points. And then since we opened up again tonight, we've been sailing off a little bit. So it's kind of just maybe a lot of people are going to be waiting to see what the inflation data is tomorrow. It is Friday. It's at the end of the week. If you are up money or if you're in a good position in your trading for the week, maybe the best idea is to just not trade tomorrow. And that's something I was thinking of. I'm like, you know what? I've had an amazing week. Sometimes if you have a great week, it could be best to just not trade or size down. If you're used to trading minis, maybe you trade micros. Maybe you don't trade as much or risk as much. So that is something on Fridays where traders could do, and I would recommend if you already have an amazing great week, lock it in. Don't risk more than what you should, or at least a percentage. And this is something that I do. This week I'm up about $26,000 this week, and I'm gonna lock in probably 18,000, 19,000 max. And so I'll probably actually lock in more than that, just locking in a percentage of your profits. So worst case scenario, you're not giving it all back. I love Topstep on how we have the daily losses. And we don't have to worry about going into the weekend on a very negative note, right? Because the worst thing we could do for ourselves as a trader is to trade good all week and then have a horrible Friday and then go into the weekend on a really negative note, and then you just beat yourself up all weekend, and then you have a bad weekend, and you can't just disconnect from everything, and you can't enjoy your weekend. So we have this big gap, and just like we did yesterday, so the question is, are we going to fill this? Are we going to have any pullback from there? And we're kind of just going to be inside so far. And if we start to zoom in, let's say we zoom into a 60-minute chart, and we're going to further break down the NASDAQ. And I don't know how much of technical analysis will play a factor in this, just because we have news tomorrow. But and we also have the Bank of Japan, which is going to be affecting the markets as well. But let's take a look. So here is the NASDAQ on a 60-minute chart. And you guys could see we had this sell-off pretty much, what was this, Thursday and going into yesterday, or Wednesday going into Thursday. And then immediately we rallied up. So a little bit of the analysis is, we had that reversal here. And sure enough, we did make a higher low. And as of now, we technically made a higher high. So we are still in a intermediate bullish move or bullish trend in terms of pure price action. We're still making higher highs. We're making higher lows, even if it's the range is getting wider. This is a lot more volatility coming into the markets because of the earnings and because of inflation and all the news that's is coming out. So the question that we must ask is, what can we prepare for? Am I going to be placing a trade between now and tomorrow during PCE and all the news? My answer is going to be no. I do not want to place a trade on the NASDAQ and hold it overnight because we have big news coming out. And I would prefer to be flat going into the news and locking up profits, right? So I'm going to pass on the NASDAQ, and I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait to see what happens, to see if we get a pullback, then maybe I'll be a buyer. However, that news tomorrow morning, the PCE is going to change. I'm going to be trading during fast markets, so I think I'm going to try my best to just practice discipline and not trade the NASDAQ. That being said, I did place a trade on the NASDAQ while I was at the gas station. So I did place a trade on the NASDAQ while I was at the gas station an hour ago. If we zoom in, I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you guys. All right. Remember, do as I say, not as I do. Let's see if I could show the trade here. Okay, here's my trade. I placed it while I was at the gas station. It was on my phone, and you could see we opened up at 6, or right at the open. Like, we opened up here, basically. We rallied up, and I'm like, okay, I want to get long. I want to try and get long for like a little bounce higher. And I was watching it. I pulled it up on my phone, and I seen the order books, and there was 100 lot sitting at 764. And then I'm like, okay, I want to join that for 3 lots. So I clicked buy limit, 3 lots at 764. I got triggered in. And then I had my order, and look at that. I ended up top ticking this. Got out of one here, got out of my second one right at the top. I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold on to my third contract just to see where we go. And then sure enough, I just closed it out. My third one, I just closed it out over here once I got back to my computer. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I made $500 on this one. And yeah, so don't do that. Don't trade on your phone at the gas station. Yeah, don't recommend it. And especially don't be holding a trade going into the news. I definitely do not recommend that as well. So NASDAQ, I'm done. I'm not going to be trading NASDAQ for the rest of tonight. I will be trading it tomorrow morning during fast markets. Let me jump back over to Nikkei, and then we'll start talking about the other markets. Nikkei's playing pretty well. It looks like we're starting to hesitate to maybe one thing. Like, we have the Bank of Japan news, right? And it says tentative. And we kind of experienced this last time. Last month, I did a 2-hour stream, and it was the same thing. The Bank of Japan, the monetary policy, the statement, it's all tentative. It's not like the Feds, where they give an exact time, and they say exactly at this time we're releasing everything, and I'm going to give the statement at this time. That's not how it works. Essentially, my understanding, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is they just release it between whenever they feel like it or whenever they want. That's why it says tentative. Last time it was like, I think it came out at like midnight Central Time or 11 p.m. Central Time. So I'm not going to expect that. I will let this trade play out. If anything, maybe I move my stop loss to say like this, because there's a pivot here. I'm going to give this a little bit more room, and we'll let this trade play out. Maybe we could get another push back up to see 800 before all the stuff comes out. I will not let it play out till in the morning. Maybe I close one contract. I'm going to continue to watch this a little bit while I get to some more of your guys' questions in the chat. Let's see. Let me go through some of these questions. Steve P, I'm in the Pacific. All I can trade is slow markets because of my work schedule. Thanks for the help. Yes, that's 100% why I have started slow markets, because people work. People have stuff going on in their life where they cannot always trade the New York session. So glad it's helping. I love to hear those things. That's the point of slow markets, is to show traders that you don't only need to trade the New York session. Love how she calls it this show. Not sure what you mean by that. I trade it now after watching this show. Nikkei has a thin order book. Always limit orders, even stop. Yep, 100%. When you're trading a market during either volatility or during when the market's really thin, there's not a lot of liquidity, I always recommend limit orders, because as we know, if we buy at market, you just get the next available price, and there's something that you call slippage. I've had bad experience with slippage, especially in a live account, where I think I'm going to be getting one price, I get another price, and my losses, and it's just never fun when you don't know exactly what price you're getting. However, during the New York session, when I'm trading the NASDAQ, sometimes, just sometimes, I'll enter at market, and I know I will sacrifice a couple points to get in, and it's just time versus price, right? I do not have Instagram, and I do not have Twitter. I do not like social media. It's been such a distraction for me, so I do not have social media. Do you ever use the 1,000 tick or 2,000 tick charts? No, I've played around with different tick and time charts, and I've done a lot, and I've kind of just stuck with something that's really, really the most simplest of things. And you guys see it here every single night about how simple I trade. I trade as simple as it gets, guys. Very, very basic support and resistance, and very basic technical analysis. Like that. That's honestly how it is. And to be honest, I actually got a question about this, and I was going to bring it up during fast markets, but I think I could just bring it up now. I've seen a lot of traders say I trade I think it's ICT concepts. Like, did I learn ICT? Do I trade ICT? And I didn't really know what ICT was until I Googled it. And what it looks like, I think ICT is is it a guy on YouTube or social media who teaches about technical analysis and sells a course. I'm not 100%. I have no idea about any of that, but very basic technical analysis and support and resistance has been around for probably before I was born. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but I just want to make sure that's clear. I don't know anything too much about that. Just very simple, very basic support and resistance that you guys get to see here. Most nights, maybe every night, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it to speak too much, but there you go, Patrick. That's basic. I trade the KISS method. Keep it super simple. And we're starting to break out here on the Nikkei. Let's see if I could get out at. Let me see if I could get out of one position here. I'm going to try, if we get to 75. Let's see. 75. If we get to 75, I'll close one contract. Now remember, this is my live account. Let's see. We'll see if I could get out of here. I'm going to watch this. We're going to keep on this while I answer some questions. Diego, Dakota, do you know about this? The New York Stock Exchange is considering starting an operation 24/7. I didn't. However, I did hear MP mention something like that. I heard MP mention something about having the markets open for longer. I don't know the details, and I can't speak on it. Just from what I heard MP say on a meeting, I believe. Okay, so I did. Let's see. It got me out of one of them. Let me make sure. I got to make sure. With my stop loss, I'm going to move my stop loss up kind of to right here. I think that's a good enough place for a stop loss, especially to move it up. So let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to drop down to a 1 minute, and and I'm going to explain what I'm doing. And I'm just zooming in so it granulizes it a bit more, and I could explain it a little better. Okay, so originally my stop loss was below this pivot. So my stop loss was here. Okay, this is what I was using as a point of reference for my stop loss. And then as the market started going in my favor, I was looking for a pivot point or a place. I was kind of thinking that maybe we come down like this and then do that, and I'll move my stop loss like there. But I think the market has moved enough, and I do this on every market. I do this on I do this on the NASDAQ, on any market that I do trade. And right now I'm looking at this as this could be good enough for me to say, that's the pivot. It's right near my entry. So there we go. There's me limiting my risk. Let's go there. I'm actually going to get out of one more. Let's see if we could get 800. Let's see if we get 37,800. There we go. Will it fill me for 800? Let me go that. Okay, if it gets me for 800, I'll be good. Let's get to a couple more questions. Okay. Hello, Dakota. Just curious, do you trade full-time or do you have anything else going on? Do you have lost my job recently, ND, thinking of doing this full-time, therefore wanted your honest opinion going forward. Phoenix, so you want my 100% honest opinion, and I'm going to give it to you guys because this is a fair question. If you are thinking about going full-time, I would say I would do it in a very, very transitional way. I'm just trying to think of how I could say that, right? Let me think. I do trade full-time, as in this is a huge part of how I pay my bills. I do have other sources of income, and here's what I will say on that. It is so difficult to trade and be a successful trader. It really is. It's hard to do it even with a job and even with money, right? We just got filled there. So if I would recommend, if you do not have a job and if you want to just depend on trading as your income, I would say go get a job. And that is my honest, blunt truth is go get a job if you're new and if you're trying to be consistent and profitable. Go get a job. Trading is very, very hard already as it is. But if you're going to trade and deal with the pressure of trading, because the psychological part is probably one of the most hardest things. Yeah, it's just so hard, guys. It really is. I would 100% recommend start out slow, learn, become consistent, and yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to think through this. I'm thinking through this real fast, guys. Yeah, I would say go get a job. And then you slowly start to transition and become a consistent trader. And then eventually, once you start to become consistent, transition to full-time trading. And then maybe, full-time trading with a part-time job. You just don't want to put yourself in a position to where you have to trade. You have to make money. And if you don't make money, you don't pay your bills, because trading is already so much stressful and it's already very, very difficult. Adding that added pressure is just much, much harder. I'm closing it. There you go. I think that's good enough for me, guys. That really is. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and say that one is good enough for me. Here's my live account profit, $2,500 on that trade. That was it. That was my trade, $2,500. And now I feel confident if I'm going to be roasting Mick tomorrow. I was a little bit nervous there. I was kind of overthinking it, but that is how I manage a trade. A lot of times I'll just let it run. I mean, this looks like it might run. To be honest, guys, this trade might just run, but I'm fine. I'm just gonna lock it in. Be happy with the profits. Don't be getting too greedy. But we could very well just run to 38,000. I'm happy with 2,500 bucks on that trade. While I was busy explaining, but let me get back to that question because it's very important, and then we'll talk about some of these other markets, because I had an amazing trade on oil last night. You guys seen my analysis on oil, and oh man, it worked out pretty dang amazing. It doesn't work out as perfect as that all the time, but dang, it was beautiful. And you guys, if you were here with me last night, you know exactly what I'm talking about on oil. Man, picture perfect. And it doesn't always work out as good as this oil trade did yesterday. But to answer your question, yes, I would definitely have a dependable source of income, then start to become trading. And then once you're consistent trading for, I would say, over a year, maybe 2 years, and you have that confidence to say, if I quit my job, I have the confidence that I have either enough money saved up and I don't have to have the stress of paying my bills to trade. Because guess what? You don't always just make money. You guys seen me do it. You see me go through those hurdles. Last week I lost $30,000. There's been months where I lose money. There's been a quarter within 3 months, a 3-month period where you lose money. And so the question is, can you mentally deal with losing money in a period of 3 months and still be okay with paying your bills and not struggling mentally? So I think that was as blunt as I could get. Don't quit your day job and use trading as a great supplemental source of income to pay off debt, go have fun with, build an account, build up that cushion that if you do eventually want to transition into trading full time, you have that cushion and you could go through that. So I hope that helps. And I think it was you, Phoenix. I just got two new XFAs. So how should I proceed? If you got 2 new XFAs, I would proceed by trading very small, gaining the confidence, and then going from there. Don't just go full at it. Small and steady. And you guys know I do this as a joke, but I think it's the truth, is that the story about the tortoise and the hare, the turtle and the rabbit, we see it here at Topstep all the time. And here's a little bit of a preview about what I'm going to be roasting Mick on. Is we see it here at the leaderboards, guys. You see it here at Topstep on the leaderboard. We have traders in Express Funded accounts who they make $100,000 in a day. They make $50,000 in a day. Woohoo! Great, right? And then, you know what? I know what? In 2 weeks, they're not going to be there, especially if they try and transition them to a live account. Guess what? They're no longer there. And if they are, they're just kind of just trying to be happy staying around the level that they're at. And you see these shooting stars, right? It's like a shooting star. They shoot up really, really fast, and they kind of just fade away and disappear, and no one hears about them. That's pretty much the tortoise and the hare, right? It's slow and steady, keeping it small. Rule number 1, don't lose a lot of money. Don't blow your account. And those are the traders that I've seen make the most success. $200 a day, $200 a day on average, because some days you're going to be winning, some days you're going to be losing. It is the truth. So there's my rant. Now let's talk about crude oil, guys. Crude oil last night was freaking money. It was, what do we call it? Black gold, crude oil, but black gold, right? Who remembers my analysis of crude oil last night? Who was here? Who did that? And I think that's a perfect example of keeping it simple. I love when the market plays out like this, because it proves the more simple, the better, the less you have to think about, the easier it is to manage trades. But here we go. Remember where I was looking, saying, hey, you know what? Crude oil typically sells off and it runs stop. And I didn't really have a scientific level, right? It wasn't scientific. And I said, you know what? There's some support here, support here. This to me, around $82 looks like it's a good level to put a buy limit, and then maybe have a stop limit right here, or your stop loss here, and then looking for targets towards 83. This is something that I will place, and I'll turn my computer off and I'll go to bed. And sure enough, that was weird how well that worked. It's not a signals class, but that was a beautiful example of not overcomplicating your thought process. Placing a trade proves to you don't have to trade during the New York session, and trades like this do work out. It's not as perfect or as beautiful as this. If you would have had your entry like down here, you wouldn't have been filled. I've had this happen before where I'm like, okay, if we do break, maybe we get to like 81.95. And I put a buy limit at 81.95. It sells off. It gets to 81.99, and then it turns. I wake up. I'm like, wow, that sucked. It went all the way down there, almost got to my entry, and then it just turned around. So sometimes it can be better to just maybe put like 3 buy limits in this little zone, like 3 buy limits. Say 1 contract here, 1 contract there, 1 contract here. Let me just do this so I could show you guys maybe another way that it would have worked. And no, I didn't get stopped out. I had my buy limit at 82, and I had my stop loss at 81.80. And it was 81.80. So last night I did have this is the way I had the trade set up. My buy limit there, my stop loss here. Let's go here. And I had a take profit at 82.70. So that was a beautiful trade. I didn't catch the entire move, but I did catch enough that I was happy with it. I closed it out at 82.70. I got a good 3-to-1 risk reward. If I would have left the runner on, man, that would have been beautiful, right? Sometimes if you leave a runner on, you get a 10-to-1 risk reward. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but you can imagine the positive expectancy. You could place that trade and only win 10% of the time and still make money because of the positive expectancy. So that is how I had the trade set up. I had my take profit here. So that was my take profit up here. Like, that's how I had my trade set up last night, and it worked out. I admit I should have left a runner on, which I typically do. I don't even know why I didn't leave a runner on. But that was a great trade. Now, the issue is, if you would have had your buy limit here, that would have felt really crappy, right? So sometimes what I do is, if I have a zone, I say around 82, because the market's not perfect. It's more of a zone. Sometimes I will do something like this. I will put it as like a zone and say, if the market gets to about this level, then I'm okay, because I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I'm not going to hit this perfectly every single time, but I'm okay with this. And say I want to do something like this, and I say, and then I will have my take profit here. So sometimes I will set it up like this to where maybe I go to bed, and this is how it is, because it might not always trigger. Maybe if it was like this, then it triggers you in maybe only 2, maybe only 1, and then it kind of averages in, right? So this is just an example, right, of an option, right? We have so much flexibility as future traders because we have the options to trade micros, right? And now with TopstepX, we could trade a lot better micros, or a lot more micros, the 10-to-1 ratio or whatever. Anyway, going into tonight, I think I'm in the same situation. Look, if we look at this, right, this was April 23rd. Does this look similar to where we're at now? Right? Is that similar? Like, is that a fair assumption to say this kind of looks like this? Maybe not as dramatic, but I mean, it's kind of looking similar. So could that mean I could expect maybe a pullback? I think that's a fair assumption. I'm not going to buy it right here. I'm definitely not going to sell it because I don't want to be selling this market where it's going up. So I'm going to definitely just sit on my hands right here. So I'm going to wait because this is very similar to what we just seen. And so I'm going to wait, and we have the news event tomorrow, and I'm going to take a nice pass on crude oil. Dakota, but don't you get into one sell if your orders, not if it's an OCO, Tessie. Yeah, so going back, it needs to be an OCO. Calix, I hate all these frurus that sell. Oh, all right. Sorry, I got to put you in timeout, Caltrix. No. I will just, I don't know what. Hide user. Remove. There we go. There, I had to remove that one. Yeah. No, but to a standpoint, Caltrix, I agree with you. I will agree with you to an extent. I won't repeat what you said, but I agree with you to an extent. I'll leave it at that. Dakota, do you recommend adding to positions into reinforced movements or against the grain for the bounce? It's really up to you. I don't really want to say I recommend any particular strategy because both can work, right? Just as I was showing you, you're kind of adding while it's going against you. But then you could do the opposite, right? If we could look at example, as the market's going in your favor, and you hear, Mick and the risk management team who say this a lot, and I 100% agree with them, is, sometimes you add as the market is going in your favor, and that will improve your probabilities, right? Just imagine, when do you blow your account, guys? When do you hit your daily loss limit? A lot of times you hit your daily loss limit when you keep adding to a losing position, a moron trade. So you can imagine, what's the opposite of a moron trade? Well, as the market's going in your favor, you keep adding to it, and it keeps going in your favor, right? So hope that makes sense. Were you talking about Forex Lambo boys? When you started your XFAs, how much risk were you taking? I was taking $375 per trade on my 150K XFA. Yeah, so $375. I base it off a percentage, guys. All my trades, I base off a percentage. If I'm trading a 150K account, I do a 0.25%. A 0.25% of 150K is, what is it? It's $375. So $375 is typically what I risk when I'm trading it. Okay. Yeah, farm boy, I know exactly. You have. Everybody here has done it. If so, you will. You will. Trust me. I do it sometimes. Sometimes I'm it's hard to not do when you feel very conflicted about a direction. I was about ready to do it a couple times yesterday, and yeah, it's you will get through it. Everybody does it. Everyone's experienced it. Dakota, I like that 1 hour demand zone, which is 82.63 for an entry. I mean, you could essentially do that. How much do you risk for a 50K account? It'd be the same. If I'm risking a 0.25% for a 150K account, I would risk a 0.25% for a 50K account, which would be $125. A third of that, right? Or you could try 1%. I mean, it's my personal preference. You guys could manage your risk how you want, as long as you have a good risk management system. Just focus on risk management. Like that's all. Also, how about that gold trade last night? That would have been a good trade. We did. So we're switching. We're going to start talking about gold. That would have been a good gold trade, maybe, right? It depends on where your target was or whatever, but very similar. Sometimes they work out pretty good, right? I was looking for a sell-off on gold if we broke below this key level and we could push down towards here. We did get the break. It didn't push as far as I thought. So it's fair enough to say that this wasn't as great of a trade as crude oil, but essentially it did get that nice push down really quick that if you did catch it, there was an opportunity for some profits. I'm kind of thinking the opposite now, guys. We didn't get any follow through. So let me go through some gold. This is a 60-minute chart on gold. And then we'll get to some more questions and finish class. We'll finish up here. So this is a 60-minute chart on gold. And what I was looking at is, we all know this was a lot of resistance or support here, and support was becoming resistance. And so I was looking for a sell-off last night. We didn't really get it. And so now I'm kind of thinking a little bit opposite, right? We're making higher lows, and we're starting to continue to push this resistance zone. And so with this in mind, and as we start to zoom in, I'm kind of thinking the opposite now, because if we do start to break out, we definitely could see, 370. We could start to push maybe. I mean, we could have a nice breakout trade, and sometimes you could just measure this and say, if we do break out, we could possibly see a test of this, maybe. Maybe we could see a test of this level around 2370s, the mid 2370s. This is something I'm going to watch. I'm not going to trade it because I haven't been trading gold in this live account for very long. I'm a little bit out of sync with gold, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see if this gold play will work. Obviously, we all know that gold has been in a very bullish uptrend. We actually see something very similar back here in the middle of March, of where we are making these higher lows and equal highs, and we broke out, right? It's a pattern, right? Here's another one, higher lows and kind of equal highs, and then we had another nice breakout. So could this be that? Could this be that? I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to trade it. I'm going to watch it, but that is definitely a possibility. Now let me get rid of all these drawings. I just have a pet peeve about having my charts ugly. I like my charts naked. So, okay, I think that's it, guys. I went through all the markets. You guys got to watch me place this trade on the Nikkei. Typically, typically, if we didn't have the Bank of Japan and all the news going on, a lot of times I'll just let one of the contracts here on the Nikkei for a runner to see if we could get to 38,000. That's okay, though. A winner is a winner, and I definitely, with hindsight, it's easy to say, yeah, I should have just left one contract on as a runner. But when I do, I like to just turn my computer off and not look at the trade and just let it play out. But we have a lot of Bank of Japan news coming out, and I do not want to be holding a trade going into the Bank of Japan. Let's see here. Let me get to a couple more questions, and then we'll finish it off. 5 more minutes. Patrick, I have a girlfriend, and sometimes I get in arguments with her just before the New York session opens, and just affects my whole trading. What would you say the best approach of dealing with relationships? Oh, this is a good one, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that deal with it. Trading is a huge mental game, right? Trading is just as much on the psychological than it is anything else. If not, I would say very rarely would I ever hear a trader that is any good that will say trading is not more psychological. I'd say, and everyone has their own percentages. I say trading is more 95% psychological and 10% everything else. Because look, I'm doing it as super simple as it gets. The rest, psychological. There definitely has. And I'm not a therapist. Let's get that right. Hopefully, and I don't know. I don't know what I can say on that one. Sometimes it's best for me not to just say anything. But find a way to not let your emotions get into your trading. That's the hardest part about trading. So good luck with that one. I think that's where should I end it there? Less words, less mistake. Don't trade without an energy drink. Rob, lost your XFA over girl. You aren't. Yeah, that. Just say I'm saying nothing to that one. I should have never read that question. Get a cat. Dobie has a cat. Oh, man. I got to stop here, guys. I could go off. Oh, Dobie. Yeah, anything I can say is wrong here. Dakota, why again are you touching live accounts tomorrow? I will be touching live accounts tomorrow, guys. That was my live account today. You seen me trade my live account. I will be trading live accounts tomorrow. Buy a cat. Yes, that's what my advice is going to be. If you're having difficulties with the relationship issues, my advice from Coach Dakota is buy a cat. Maybe we could ask Dobie. Next time I'm on with Dobie, I'm going to ask him, and we'll see how it is. Well, I'll ask Dobie about his relationship and how his emotions get with his cat. That would be. No hair gel. I just get out of the shower. Or a little bit of hair gel. Let me get that there. So, okay, guys. I'm going to end it there with, we're going to end it on Dobie's cat. So take care. Great trading this week. I'm going to be trading fast markets with Andre and Coach Jay. I'm going to try and just lock it up. I'm finishing. Let me show you guys this. Sorry guys. Sorry to gaslight you. I want to finish and end the week like this. I'm going to be roasting Mick tomorrow. Stay tuned. You guys definitely have to be there. See what he'll say on shoulder tap. I'm sure that's going to be something fun. Actually, let me see if I could get this. We have a minute, so I figured I could show you this. And we'll end it. I don't want to end on Dobie's cat, I decided. Dobie's cat's not going to hijack my show. Okay, my live account statistics. And this week. So here we go. I am ending the week pretty much like this. Monday, I started out 11,000, 10,000, 1,800, 3,600. And right now, I'm up 24.97. So there you go. My average daily PL now. It's pretty dang close to $500. I'm going to try and finish tomorrow during fast markets with a positive note. I'm not going to be giving up one. I'm not going to be taking a loss tomorrow. Worst case scenario, maybe it's a very bad New York session. I just go scratch. I don't want to turn an amazing week into a bad week or a sour note. And I'm not going to give Mick any ammo to say anything back against me. So take care, guys, and I will see you tomorrow during fast markets if I do.